Welcome to the Awesomers.com podcast. If you love to learn, and if you're motivated to expand your mind, and heck, if you desire to break through those traditional paradigms and find your own version of success, you are in the right place. Awesomers around the world are on a journey to improve their lives and the lives of those around them. We believe in paying it forward, and we fundamentally try to live up to the great Zig Ziglar quote, where he said, "You can have everything in your life you want if you help enough other people get what they want." It doesn't matter where you came from, it only matters where you're going. My name is Steve Simonson, and I hope you will join me on this awesomer journey.
If you're launching a new product manufactured in China, you will need professional, high-resolution, Amazon-ready photographs. Because Simo Global has a team of professionals in China, you will oftentimes receive your listings photographs before your product even leaves the country. This streamlined process will save you the time, money, and energy needed to concentrate on marketing and other creative content strategies before your item is in stock and ready for sale. Visit simoglobal.com to learn more, because a picture should be worth 1,000 keywords.
You are listening to episode number 120 of the Awesomers.com podcast series. And today we're going to finish up a three-part series with David Paul Doyle. And as you've learned from part 1 and 2 already, you kind of heard where he came from, how he kind of had his life planned out, as many of us think we do as a young person. He pursued that until he realized, hang on, that may not actually be fulfilling as I thought. And despite working on that a long time, on into part 2, you heard about his next big pivot. After switching from the life of a potential fighter pilot, he went into publishing his own books and did that for a course of 10 years, living on, the ability to write books and create a community. And he did that with deep passion and devotion. And you can still see that shines through today in every part of all three of this three-part series. David Paul definitely is a passionate person and loves, as he calls it, connectedness. You're going to see more of that today. Let's go ahead and get into this final episode right now. Hey everybody, we're back again. It's Steve Simonson, joined by David Paul Doyle, and here we are in our third segment here, talking about the genesis and the beginnings of his company, Naturewise. Is that right? Nature Made or Naturewise?
Naturewise.
Yeah. My brain is slow and soggy, so
that's okay. I always tell people Naturewise. They go, "Oh, I know your company." I'm like, "No, you probably don't." There's a lot of nature something companies out there, right?
Nature blanks. Well, the fact is, Naturewise got started was it the supplement category that was your very beginnings?
Yeah.
But you guys have expanded into many other things as you've built the brand up. Can you take us through maybe how you got started, and then we'll carry on later into what it's doing today?
Yeah. So I had obviously been selling on Amazon since I think 2004 with the launch of our first book. We put our book out on Amazon, and I was familiar with selling on Amazon, but I didn't know about manufacturing. I knew about publishing, but I didn't know about manufacturing. And literally after this moment of opening my mind up to the possibility of having a side business, I had been doing tons of article marketing for our nonprofit that we ran. That was kind of the arm of our books and our teachings. And so I was super into SEO at the time and super into article marketing. And I actually happened to be on Jason Katzenbach's mailing list, not related to Amazon, but related to article syndication. He had a whole article syndication company, and it's not like I knew him at all, but this was the very, 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 very first beta program that he and Matt had launched. I think there was only 40 people in our class. It was super small. This was before anything. And he just blasted this message out about selling physical products on Amazon. I'm like, it was just right up my alley, because I was already on Amazon as an author, but didn't know anything about physical products at all. I mean, book's a physical product, but I understood that manufacturing process, right? I didn't understand anything else. I just had no context. So I ended up signing up for that initial class, and just really opened my mind up to the fact of what manufacturers do, and that you don't have to be your own manufacturer. I didn't even know about private label stuff. I think the whole concept was new to me. So I literally was like, you know what? This was the epiphany that I had. I said, for 10 years, I've had this niche that's like this big. That's my niche. It's my thing. I love this. But I spend 99% of all my time finding all the people in the world that want this. Like all my efforts is like, how do I find people who want, the hundreds of people who want this little tiny thing this widget that I sell.
The dozens, if not hundreds of people who are interested.
Right. And I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like, I want to find the biggest niche. I don't want to look for demand. I just want to go where the demand is and just carve out a little sliver. And so I'm like, that's my whole approach. I don't care what people want. I don't judge what people want. I don't even care what I sell. I'm just going to go find what human beings want, and I'm going to give it to them and hopefully take a small piece. That was it. And so I went onto Amazon one day and just searched for I'm into health. I'm into well-being. So I went to the health and personal care category. I don't even really know how I ended up in that category. Just probably I didn't know anything about electronics. So I just kind of went to what I was familiar with. And I looked to see what the best-selling products were. And green coffee bean extract had just taken off from Dr. Oz. And I think that whoever was selling it at the time was number 3 in all of health and personal care, number 3. And I'm like, I literally Googled or YouTubed green coffee bean extract. I think I watched one video for 5 minutes. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to go sell. I hardly put any time and effort into it. It's just kind of luck. Because I didn't really care what I was going to sell. I just wanted to sell where the demand was. And also it did help, I think, that Matt at the time had his own supplement brand, right? So a lot of the examples that he was giving were on supplements at the time. And so I just ended up falling into that niche based on, I think, Matt's experience, but also my own interest and the fact that that was a hot ink product right then in that moment. And so it happened really, really fast. I remember getting that answer in meditation. Within 2 weeks, I think I had that random email from Jason. Maybe 2 weeks later, I started, incorporated. Maybe 6 to 8 weeks later, I had my first product. It just was crushed through it. And so the whole thing was really quick.
I love it. Well, the thing is, you were prepared for it. You're ready for it. And all of that experience that you put in over the prior 10 years of understanding how to execute publishing and book and SEO, and you were able to just kind of go, hey, I'm just lining up all the pieces. As you learned from Jason and Matt, and for those keeping score at home, that's Jason Katzenbach, Matt Clark with the Amazing Selling Machine. Guys, we'll make sure we get a link into there for them. They put together a program, and David Paul was one of the very early adopters, even before it was a program, to just turn them on to this idea of, hey, you can make a consumer product. And, a lot of people use the term private label, and that's fine. But OEM, or, this was a term that exists today and existed before, where you can have a factory OEM your product, which means original equipment manufacturer, believe it or not. But when you go to a factory and you say, hey, I want you to OEM a product for me or private label a product for me, you can even make tweaks on it. You can make your own little recipes and your own twist on it so that you really do have a true brand. I prefer that, by the way, much better than going to China and finding something in a cheap plastic bag and sticking your own label on it. Those are two very different aspects of private label business.
Yeah.
But you were prepared, you were ready, and you executed with excellence. And obviously you were very motivated. So how did you, even though you had the product live and it sounds like it was in a hot category, was there a moment where you said, oh man, this could go big. This could be something interesting? Was there?
I quite frankly, you hope, right? You hope, but I had nothing to compare it to. Honestly, I had no framework for what big looked like.
Sure.
I didn't even have a number. I didn't have a goal. I just thought, honestly, I would have been thrilled to have retired in 20 years as a result of it. That was it. That was my only real goal. I'm like, hey, when I'm 65, I want to be able to stop working, And so that was all I really hoped for. And I didn't have any specific goals about anything around it.
But there must have been a point where you're comparing the sales of your new product compared to your books, for example.
Oh, well, it took off really fast. Like it took off so fast. It was really crazy. And I just had lucky timing. I'd be honest with you. A lot of the success is right place, right time. They say there, I can't remember the old adage that's very common but it's like, you probably know it, where preparation and knowledge and opportunity meet, or something like that.
Yeah. You're on the right track. And when those things collide, that's when, excellence and success happens.
Yeah. And so, I had a lot of knowledge about, I had a mailing list already. I had built up a 75,000 person mailing list from my nonprofit. And I was a great email marketer. And here's the thing. So I had spent 10 years, my whole goal in life was to help people connect, and for me to connect with other people. Like, connection was huge. And I was thinking to myself, how can I bring this thing that means so much to me, connecting with people, into this supplement business? Like, it's a widget. Like, how do I connect? Because connections, obviously, it's actually the most important thing to me in business. And I came up with this idea of, I want to have a relationship with every customer that we have at Naturewise. Like, I actually want to talk to them. I want to see how things are going. And from day one, I put on our very first label, email me for a free bottle of Naturewise. And I'm happy to give you one. And the whole reason I did that is because I had to have a way for them. And I didn't have any other examples. Obviously, I could have done that very differently. But I wanted to connect with every single person who bought our products. And I didn't know what carrot to dangle in front of them to make them reach out to me. And so literally, I said, reach out to us through the Amazon messaging system. And so I just was literally having conversations with every customer for like the first 6 months. And eventually I would get them on the phone and I'd talk to them. And I really just wanted to have a personal connection with our customers. That's where I'd done for 10 years with our other work. And I just wanted to carry that over, because I needed that meaning in my life. I needed it to be something more than a widget. I needed to connect. And it turns out that then once I had that connection with my customers, I could ask them to share their experience. And it turned into this product formula that really lasted a pretty long time, on Amazon. It's not quite the same anymore, but in those early years, it was really formative for our success. It helped me build relationships with our customers. And I ended up, my first 2 customer service people were 2 of my own students from our work together, and who were all about connection. And I would only hire people who were good at real heart-based communicative people, and who would, want to connect with our customers. That was it. That's all I really cared about is, and so I don't even remember how I got on that track talking with you, but
let me help you. First of all, it's very insightful. There's a couple things here. First of all, modest people like yourself would like to point to serendipity and right place, right time, and so forth. And I agree that, there's probably some timing on that particular product, but this is one of those things where your overnight success was 10 years in the making, right? The fact that you had this sense of connectedness and you wanted to drive that experience for the customers was very different than somebody else going, I want to get rich quick, right? The fact that you were saying, I just want to build something where I can retire in 20 years. That means you're thinking long-term. You're thinking about the big picture. You're not thinking about how do I, score today and I'll go to the next hot product tomorrow. All of that was the right preparation. And, the reality of how you built your business is a testament to what has been built today, which is a substantial business. And for me, you've really done branding in a beautiful way. I was at a mastermind where David handed out some of his energy drinks, and they tasted quite good. And then I challenged him. I'm like, hey, I just drinking a bunch of sugar here, and he's like, no, hey, here's how we do it, and here's how we think, and so that the thing that you put in early on about connecting with customers and doing the right thing still seems to be happening today, even as you've grown into a pretty substantial company.
Yeah, it's super important to me. I've drifted in and out. At certain points it's been about the bottom line, and at other points it's been efficiencies, and you kind of have to zig and zag to keep things going. But I would say right now, to this moment, my desire to connect with people has never been stronger with our brand. I just really personally probably videoed maybe 15 to 20 videos myself about our products, I really want to get back to the core basics of connecting with people, because I find that I actually need it. Like, I need it for my own fulfillment, for my own joy. I can't be slinging widgets because it's not meaningful to me, and for me, it's all about, you said something earlier. It's like, at the end of the day, it's about people, that life is about people. And I just saw this movie last night with my daughter's boyfriend. The Hate You Give, The Hate You Give. And it was about people. Really, at the end of the day, there's a lot more to it. There's more than just that, but it really reminded me, it just reinvigorates. Life is about people at the end of the day, and not as about, I'm a creator. Like, I love to create. I'm a workaholic. I thrive in creation. But I will tell you, every time I analyze being a creator, it always falls in priority to having people and connecting with people and having family. And because at the end of the day, I'd rather have a lot of close friends than have a thriving business, right? Have a lot of personal connection with people than money. And people always win out in my heart and mind. And so it's the same thing with my business. Yes, it changes, but I keep coming back to, the only thing that really matters to me is that I touch people's hearts. I make a difference in their lives, and I feel connected with them. And so it's still super, super important to me. And I've tried to build a company and a culture that feels that way too.
Well, no doubt you have. I definitely can feel it. I know the Osmers out there can feel it. We've gone on a little longer than I expected.
Yes,
David,
I'm a rambler.
No, I love it.
You didn't know what a rambler I was.
Oh, I tell you, I love it. And I know the folks out there are loving it too. There's actually so much more we can get into, but I want you to get out your crystal ball for a minute, if you don't mind. I assume you have those in Ashland, Oregon.
Yep.
And so tell us what the future looks like a little bit for your own company, but also e-commerce, or where you see things going, whether it's Amazon or the big picture, whatever you care to pontificate about. But what's it look like 5 years from now?
Boy, good question. Well, it's hard to mix the two, like to give you a Naturewise answer versus an industry answer. But obviously Amazon is just going to keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's just, the writing's on the wall. That's not going away. I also think, though, it's becoming more and more and more competitive. And that's not going away. And I do feel like, even though it's always going to be strong, it's also the risk. It's always there on Amazon. And I do encourage people, including our own brand, to get offline, to get off Amazon, and to keep building your direct-to-consumer business for risk management. I think that getting onto other platforms is also important. And quite frankly, we're getting into retail. Now, I don't recommend everybody go into retail. I think it's a brutal business, and the profit margins are not the same. I think that going direct is really huge. It's a huge effort. Listen, every single thing you go after is a huge effort. There's no easy way. But I still think risk management is really important in this day and age. So I think figuring out, how do you keep doing more and more things? And when I say more and more things, I just mean going after more and more channels to manage risk, to have different income streams. You just never know when something bad's going to happen on Amazon. I hate to say this, but we get attacked on Amazon still to this day. Breaks my heart when it happens, but people try to take you down. There's just a lot of nasty people out there. And I just feel that going after direct to consumer, I think, is really valuable. Other platforms like Facebook can be really helpful. And I do think if you want to build a long-term brand, finding niches in stores that you might be a good fit as well. But you have to have a pretty strong brand and some real differentiation to accomplish that.
Well, I think it's great advice on all points there. And I don't know, so I'll just throw a little prediction out there for the benefit of our audience, but also for David Paul in particular. So the reality is, yes, I think you should diversify, and I agree with every point David Paul just made. One of the things that I think is exciting, and that it's still emerging, right? In 5 years, it'll look much more clear than it does today. As Steve Jobs used to say, you can connect the dots backwards, but you can't really connect them forward. But in the murky, foggy future that I see, sites like Albertsons, for example. Now, Albertsons.com just announced their marketplace last week, which allows people who sell food and food type things and household items to get onto their marketplace as a third-party seller instead of the onerous big box, kind of beat you down with David Paul has seen it, but I've seen it too, where we have big box contracts that are that thick, and there's not a single page in that inch-thick document that is a benefit to us. Every single one is like, you screw up, I take all your money. You screw up again, I take your house. You screw up again, I take your kids, right? I mean, there's nothing there that's a benefit to the seller because we're not big enough. I'm sure Apple can go and duke it out with, Staples or, Best Buy or whoever the case is. But having the marketplace opportunities where it's more democratized in many ways. And although the attacks and the competitors and the black hat stuff that's happening is sickening, and I hope that Amazon gets better control over it, you got to have the ability to move around and to be able to get your stuff. Right now, Albertsons launched with 40,000 items. By the end of the year, they hope to have 100,000 items. But I imagine in several years, Albertson being the third largest grocer in the United States, other guys are copying this. This is happening around the world. All the retailers who have stores, who have brands are saying, we need a marketplace to compete with Amazon. So as much as Amazon will grow undoubtedly for the next 5 years, I do think there will be competition. And I look forward to that. And I hope that you guys are going to try to leverage some of those marketplaces for your business, David.
Yeah, and we have been. I think that's great. I didn't know about the Albertsons things. What's great is we're actually just opening up 140 stores in Northern California for Safeway. So Safeway is taking on our drinks, and they're opening up 140 places. But Safeway, Albertsons are the same company, right?
Right.
So I didn't know about their online marketplace. But we're in Walmart. Well, we're at Walmart.com, we're Jet.com, VitaCost, eVitamins, Lucky Vitamins. We're in a lot of other online marketplaces. I will say though, it changes. There becomes a level of complexity that you have to be prepared for when you start doing this, because you can't just have your contract manufacturer easily ship to FBA over and over and over again. You might need to start having your own warehouse, to manage all of these different types of shipment models. And then that increases your complexity, whether you're doing it yourself or having a third-party logistics company. It gets expensive. It's going to start eating into things. And I've always really admired and been a little jealous of people who are single, FBA, that's it, because you can run a really, really lean business only going to Amazon FBA right from your contract manufacturer, and never having to deal with third-party stuff, third-party logistics. But, it's one of the downsides of diversifying, but it still seems to be a necessary evil if you want to get on all these platforms.
But in this day and age of the storage fees at FBA going off the charts high and the unpredictable nature, right? Somebody puts a bunch of stock in there for Q4, they get a suspension or a shutdown related to nefarious competitor activity.
That's true.
There's a ton of risk on either side of the equation. But you're right.
Yeah.
Long term, if you're going to build a business, there will be complexity involved. That's the way it is. And those who can manage that complexity and overcome it have the potential to build something of meaning and of value. So, David Paul, thank you again for so much taking the time and spending the day with us here on Awesomers. I really do appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me, Steve. I appreciate it. And good to see you again, as usual. Look forward to the next conference.
Yeah, certainly. It's my pleasure. Yeah. You're amazing. And I'm really thrilled to have you here. Awesomers out there, listen, we'll be right back after this.
Bye, everyone.
Hey Amazon Marketplace professionals, this is Parsimony ERP, and we get one question over and over. Can you please tell me exactly what Parsimony does? Well, we'll try, but this is only a 30-second spot, so we're going to have to hurry. Connect to your Seller Central account and pull all the new orders. Enter the orders with all customer data. Enter all of the Amazon fees and charges. Store them at the item level. Generate profit and loss reports at the SKU level. Automatically generate income statements. Handle multiple companies. Handle multiple brands. Handle multiple currencies. Facilitate budgets and forecasts. Store all customer interactions in a sophisticated CRM system. Manage your supply chain. Project and task management. Maintain an audit log. Hey, you get it. That's Parsimony, PARSIMONY.com. Parsimony.com. We've got that.
Oh boy, it's always so fun to hang out with fun, brilliant entrepreneurs. It really is something I enjoy, and it, for me, is something that I get a lot of lessons when I listen to these stories. And this is one of the original inspirations for the Awesomers podcast series was I got to hear stories like David Paul's at various conferences and so many others that we've done. This is now episode 120 of the series. And so many of these I find so inspiring, and there's countless inspirational stories out there for you. If you really are trying to do something, you're trying to get a mission accomplished, somebody out there has done something at least as hard as you're doing, but probably harder. And so for the times that we're, kind of stuck in our own little mind and we're like, woe is me, my life is so hard, why can't it just be easier? And maybe I'm not smart enough, maybe I'm not good enough, whatever that self-doubt is. We all suffer from imposter syndrome. You just take a page out of David Paul's book where he said very plainly, just keep going. Persistence pays. This is one of the defining characteristics of an awesomer, without question. Just keep going. What's the alternative anyway? What are you really going to do? You going to stop? No. Take a minute. Maybe you've had a bad day. Take an angry nap if you need to. Get that out of your system and then charge on. Press forward. As Winston Churchill used to say, keep calm and carry on. And we're going to carry on as well. This is the end of the 3-part series with David Paul Doyle. And it's, again, episode number 120. So just pop on over to awesomers.com/120 to see today's show notes and details. Well, we've done it again, everybody. We have another episode of the Awesomers podcast ready for the world. Thank you for joining us, and we hope that you've enjoyed our program today. Now's a good time to take a moment to subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Heck, you could even leave a review if you wanted. Awesomers around you will appreciate your help. It's only with your participation and sharing that we'll be able to achieve our goals. Our success is literally in your hands. Thank you again for joining us. We are at your service. Find out more about me, Steve Simonson, our guests, team, and all the other Awesomers involved at awesomers.com. Thank you again.